For 80 years, the United States government maintained absolute silence on unidentified anomalous phenomena. Today, that vault has swung open. A legally binding mandate has forced the declassification of thousands of records that the national security state fought to conceal since the end of World War II. Historically, U.S. intelligence agencies treated these anomalies as severe threats to national security. Any observation that couldn't be easily explained by conventional physics was immediately classified and buried deep within military archives to protect technical collection methods. The public investigations that did exist were often orchestrated cover stories. The Air Force's Project Blue Book actively used weather phenomena to explain away sightings that were actually classified experimental aircraft, like the CIA's high-altitude U-2 spy plane. But when actual multi-sensor UAP encounters happened, they bypassed public channels entirely. These events were routed directly into signals intelligence and stamped Top Secret Umbra, a classification reserved for information whose release would cause exceptionally grave damage to the state. Looking at this history, the government's primary strategy regarding UAPs becomes clear. The objective was never scientific discovery, but successful institutionalized information control. On February 20, 2026, a new executive mandate bypassed decades of intelligence community inertia, ordering every federal agency to identify and declassify their records concerning UAPs and potential extraterrestrial life. This directive coincided with a major structural reorganization. The Department of Defense was rebranded as the Department of War, or DOW, signaling a shift toward a much more active stance on domain confrontation and awareness. To manage this effort, the Department of War established PURSUE, the Presidential Unsealing and Reporting System for UAP encounters. This interagency group acts as a central clearinghouse, tasked with sanitizing and releasing historical files to a new public portal. The legal weight behind this operation comes from the National Archives. Under their newly enforced 25-year rule, any government UAP record older than a quarter century now carries a strict presumption of immediate public disclosure. The result is a flood of intelligence material. Hundreds of previously classified files are dropping directly onto a new portal at war.gov/UFO, which recorded over 1 billion hits in its first few weeks. PURSUE operates as a highly organized and highly industrialized system, engineered specifically to completely reverse a century of secrecy. As these documents surface, a distinct pattern emerges. Intelligence analysts were comfortable leaving detailed data unredacted when an object could be labeled probably a balloon. But when the reported phenomena defied explanation, the surrounding operational context was heavily censored. We are now seeing the raw reports of those unexplained anomalies. In one declassified entry, military commanders scrambled 13 MiG fighters to chase down a single unidentified object moving at extreme altitudes. Declassified records confirm simultaneous multi-sensor tracking, documenting objects caught on radar, infrared, and electro-optical systems. These overlapping data streams validate sightings beyond human visual testimony. This graphic breaks down one of the most striking new releases, a 2023 video captured over Greece. It shows an object executing instantaneous right-angle turns at 80 miles per hour. A conventional jet requires a wide radius to change direction at speed. This object does not. Under standard aerodynamic models, performing a zero-radius turn at that velocity generates extreme centripetal acceleration. Any physical craft built with known materials would experience catastrophic structural failure, yet the UAP completes the maneuver without slowing down. This data aligns with earlier reports from the USS Nimitz carrier group. Their sensors tracked groups of objects descending from 80,000 feet to sea level in less than a second, hovering in place and then randomly dispersing. The declassified hard data indicates these objects operate entirely independent of known aerodynamic lift or conventional propulsion models. If the national security apparatus successfully contained this information for 80 years, what specific pressure is forcing them to reveal it today? Part of the answer lies inside the Pentagon itself. A deep internal schism has formed between old guard officials who prefer conservative interpretations and a new wave of intelligence officers and military pilots demanding the raw data be acknowledged. Externally, the U.S. is facing a growing transparency gap with its own allies. While the American executive branch pushes disclosure, partners like the Australian Department of Defence continue to dismiss the issue as a low priority. This map highlights a major problem with that dismissal. The Pursue records show unresolved UAP encounters occurring globally, repeatedly tracked near sensitive Allied borders and throughout the Indo-Pacific Command Zone. It is a security issue that can no longer be managed in isolation. Furthermore, the technology of observation has caught up. Modern, interconnected sensor networks make the phenomenon impossible to ignore or effectively cover up anymore. By controlling the release of this data now, the government can attempt to rebuild public faith while managing the population's exposure to future technological disruptions. This controlled disclosure serves as a calculated strategic maneuver, a transition from a century of denial into an era of active preparation for an undeniable global reality.